Hey, this is my first video. Um, I'm trying to start something called Finding a Light because uh, I've gone through a lot of mental illness, mental health issues, and um, I never really knew what was going on and struggled through a lot of it by myself, even though I had people around who would want to help me um, if they if they had if they knew how, and I'm just I've been learning about just kind of where mental health is at, like in the world and in the United States, and suicide and different things. Most of the mental health issues are increasing, and um, I've been, like I said, I've been struggling a lot, and I just have been realizing that there's not enough support, there's not enough resources. I've been feeling very alone and just you know, like people don't care, and I think it's just like there's not enough resources, and I tried my hardest my whole life, and especially a few years ago, I went through a really difficult time, and I tried my hardest to open up to people, and you know, a lot of what I received through the mental health profession, and um, I was prescribed medication that was really harmful to me. Um, I got therapy that helped some, but also was hurtful in other ways. And basically, it was hard for me to open up already. And then I did. And this stuff happened that was basically hurtful and left me in kind of a worse place than I was before I opened up to people. And so then I just struggled for a long time after that, not being able to open up to people, and being so damaged and so much different than I had been before, that I couldn't even really tell how much of not myself I was or how to get help. And um, so I just have been noticing that there's just this huge gap where it's like, people are trying to raise awareness about mental health, um, but people still just don't know. Like, people don't know how to recognize when other people are struggling, people who are struggling, even though there's more information out now about how you can get help and stuff. It's still just, it's not enough, and it's hard for people to reach out. um, and so I've just been realizing there's an emphasis on, like, getting help for yourself, that like whenever you hit rock bottom, and then you have that realization of like how to help yourself and find it within yourself. And while I think that's true to a certain degree, I think that clearly, because more and more people are killing themselves, it's that logic is not really going to work moving forward in our world, and it's going to have to change to more of like, everybody can't just like figure this shit out on their own, and like, people are trying their hardest and still reaching the point where they don't have anything left to give, because our overall message is kind of like, you gotta at some point pull yourself up. And that's what some people told me when I was going through the worst of my stuff, and you know I just couldn't. And I tried my hardest, but at a certain point I just didn't have anything left. And so this channel, and I'm going on Tumblr and on Twitter and just searching hashtags of suicide, depression, kill myself, whatever different things, because people are out on these platforms saying stuff, asking for help, and no one's noticing. And I'm realizing that there has to be more than just, hey, these resources are available. Um, you know, here's the suicide hotline. Uh, these resources are available if you need help. We're here. And I don't know. Like, I think there's gonna have to start to be much more of, okay, not just like here's the resources and I'm here for you, but kind of like people who are on the outside, who aren't in that darkness, being educated to notice when someone won't reach out for that help, and to kind of reach into that darkness and literally, like, not just once, but just like as long as it takes for that person to get out. And that's kind of just what I'm trying to do, is figure out ways. And I have some different ideas on a large scale. I think we need to start having like mental health assessments, or at least like informational stuff that gets handed out at the beginning of, like, just periodically, like in the workplace. Like, I mean, I was working for most of the last few years and I was struggling a lot. And had there been some, you know, assessment that everyone takes, then I probably could have got help. And because in the place that I was in, it was just so hard for me to just manage what was going on that I couldn't imagine. I sometimes would think, oh, maybe I should start going to therapy again, but I couldn't maintain that thought for long enough to make it happen, because there's just so much other stuff happening in my life that was stressful. Um, and I think we need to have stuff like that. I think also, I mean, I'm what, like 5 years out of college, and I'm also, like, as I've had more time to kind of understand some of the stuff that I've gone through, I realized that I was depressed a lot in college. And had there been a there's classes that everybody has to take in college. Why isn't one of them mental health, personal mental health? um why doesn't everybody have to take that? uh there needs to be stuff like that. It needs to be not just like, because I knew there was counselors in college, but I didn't know how to recognize that I was struggling, and I was just used to struggling. um I didn't know, what it meant to really be at a point where you need to reach out for help. um and so I think there needs to be like, I mean, they have, there's other stuff that people, that you have to, like, is mandatory for you to do when you're in school. There needs to be, like, at the beginning of each semester, at the end of each semester, it could be a 10-minute online assessment that everybody has to take, so that their mental health is being kept track of, that they can get help, and then also that they can just know, and people as a society and as a culture as a whole can start to learn that, like, knowing about your mental and emotional health and being aware of it is important. And I know that there's probably other people that want stuff like this to happen, but that maybe there's not, just enough resources being applied to it right now or whatever. But um, I know the resources are out there. I mean, we have resources for plenty of other things, and it could even come from private investment or whatever. I mean, the resources are there, and um, I just think that this is important, and it's the reason that I'm at this point is because I have struggled so much, and I've felt like there's just, why am I even here? There's not, I've tried my hardest. There's no, people don't really get where I'm at. I've tried to do everything that people have suggested at different times, and it's not working, and it's hard for me to really communicate what that really feels like to people. um, and and I really think this is like the most important thing. Like, this is the most important thing that needs to happen in our society, in our world right now. um, so that's just where I'm at. I've had ideas like this before, and then I mean, what am I gonna do? I don't have a job right now. I don't have much. I mean, it's hard for me to stay positive. So I have ideas like this, but then it's like, okay, you know, how's this stuff gonna happen? But I'm at a point where it's just like I can't really find, life doesn't seem to really. I'm just realizing that so much of my life has been spent trying to overcome mental health challenges that I didn't even know I was struggling with. I've been living for a long time, with basically a veil over my experience. And so I'm just like, what else could be more important than helping other people lift that veil? Like, and trying to figure out ways to do it myself. Um, there's a certain level of experience as a human being where you can feel your emotions, and you have a place to be vulnerable, and it's something that we're not experiencing because we're not teaching people how to experience it. And it's something that more and more people are unable to cope with and don't know how or why. And then we just want to die. You don't want to be here anymore. And it's so hard to feel like what you're going through matters when so much of what seems to be around us just kind of makes it seem like it's not important. And what we really need is to be taking all these people that are struggling with being suicidal and struggling with mental illness and everything, and saying, okay, this person's experience is valuable. Not just like, hey, let's give this person some meds and, you know, make sure they can hold down a, a basic job. And then that's kind of the extent of of dealing with it. It's like we need to start recognizing that people who are struggling, like, their experience is valuable, and we need to provide ways for people who have these struggles to help other people and have their experience be valued without feeling like I have to go to school to be a therapist, or I have to do this, or I have to do that. Like, there needs to be mental health, like job opportunities just for people who um, are struggling. Because as soon as someone can share their story to connect and help with someone else, it becomes valuable rather than shameful and debilitating, because it's so over consuming that it's basically impossible to just go around in everyday life and not want to talk about it and not feel like you need to talk about it. So that's, finding a light is what I'm trying to start right now, just to start doing some of this stuff. So